Picture a huge, hot desert. The sun is blazing, a giant building towers over you, a huge pyramid. It's the Great Pyramid of Giza. Nearby, the Sphinx, part lion and part human, stares forever into the distance. This is ancient Egypt, a land of pharaohs and pyramids, hieroglyphics and hidden tombs. Ancient Egypt lasted over 3,000 years, leaving behind amazing art, buildings, and inventions. They excelled in astronomy, math, and medicine, creating advanced systems for writing and irrigation. Their buildings, covered in carvings and paintings, show the importance of religion and the afterlife. But Egypt was more than just pyramids and pharaohs. It was a complex civilization shaped by its location, religion, and social rules. To understand ancient Egypt, we must explore its past and solve its mysteries. Join me on a journey through time, exploring the wonders of ancient Egypt. The most important thing in ancient Egypt was the Nile River. It was like a lifeline flowing through the dry desert. The Nile flooded every year at the same time, which made the land around it great for farming. This allowed people to live in a place that would have been too hard to live in otherwise. The Egyptians thought the Nile was a god because it was so important to their survival. The Nile's water made it possible to grow crops like wheat, barley, and flax. Having plenty of food meant the population grew and people could live in the same place for a long time. The Nile was also a super important way to travel, connecting different communities and making trade easier. Around 3100 BC, a ruler named Menes came from the south and joined Upper and Lower Egypt together, which started the early dynastic period. Menes made his capital city Memphis, which is close to where Cairo is today. His rule brought a strong central government and made things more stable. Menes joining Egypt together was the first step in creating a complicated and advanced civilization. With a stable government, the Egyptians could focus on developing their culture, technology, and economy, which led to the great achievements of the Old Kingdom and the years that followed. Religion was a big part of every aspect of ancient Egyptian life. They believed in many gods and goddesses who represented nature, human feelings, and big ideas. A very important idea was Ma'at, which represented order, fairness, and balance in the universe. Some of the most important gods were Ra, the sun god, Osiris, the god of the underworld, Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood, and Horus, the god of kingship, who often looked like a falcon. Egyptians believed these gods controlled everything in their lives, from the sunrise to how well their crops grew. The Egyptians believed in life after death, a place where you lived forever. They believed Osiris would judge you there, and if you were good in life, you would live forever. To get ready for this, they had special burial rituals and built amazing tombs filled with supplies and treasures for the afterlife. This belief in the afterlife was a big influence on Egyptian culture. It inspired them to build huge tombs like the pyramids and develop complicated burial practices like mummification. It also shaped how they thought about right and wrong, encouraging them to live good lives according to Ma'at. The ancient Egyptians were amazing builders. They left behind huge buildings that still amaze us today. Their most famous buildings are the pyramids, giant tombs built for the pharaohs and their queens. These huge structures, built with incredible accuracy using only simple tools and manpower, show how smart the Egyptians were at building and how strongly they believed in the afterlife. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for the pharaoh Khufu, is the oldest and biggest of the Giza pyramids and one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Building it involved moving and placing millions of tons of stone, something no one else in the ancient world could do. Besides the pyramids, the Egyptians built amazing temples like the Temple of Karnak at Luxor, a huge complex for the god Amun-Ra. These temples, decorated with tall columns, detailed carvings, and bright paintings, were important places for religious worship and pilgrimage. Egyptian architecture wasn't just about huge buildings. They also designed smart irrigation systems, built canals and reservoirs to control the Nile River, and made cities with paved streets, public buildings, and houses. Their skill in engineering and design is easy to see in everything they built. The most important person in Egyptian society was the pharaoh, the all-powerful ruler who was thought to be a god. As the living form of the god Horus, the pharaoh was supposed to maintain Ma'at, make sure the kingdom was successful, and lead the army in war. The pharaoh had total power, and everyone had to do what he said. Under the pharaoh, lots of officials, priests, scribes, and artisans ran the kingdom. Scribes who could read and write hieroglyphics were very important for keeping records, administration, and religious rituals. Artisans, skilled in different crafts, created the beautiful artifacts and monuments that represent ancient Egyptian civilization. Farmers, who were most of the population, worked the land and paid taxes and grain to support the pharaoh and the wealthy people. Slaves, captured in war or born into slavery, also worked, doing farm labor, housework, and construction projects. Egyptian society had very clear social classes. However, it was possible to move up in social class, especially if you were very good at your job or had a special talent. After being successful and powerful for hundreds of years, ancient Egypt started to decline. Fighting within the kingdom, weak rulers, and problems with the economy made the kingdom weaker, which made it easier for other countries to invade. The New Kingdom, a time when Egypt became powerful again, eventually fell apart. Invasions by the Libyans, Nubians, and Persians made Egypt even weaker. Alexander the Great's conquests in the 4th century BC ended Egypt's independence. The kingdom was then ruled by the Ptolemaic dynasty, a line of Greek rulers. The Romans conquered Egypt in 30 BC, ending the Ptolemaic dynasty and starting Roman rule. Under Roman control, Egypt was still important because it produced a lot of grain and was in a strategic location. But Egyptian culture and religion slowly disappeared as Roman influence spread. The decline of ancient Egypt happened slowly over many centuries, and was caused by many different things. But even though it eventually fell, ancient Egypt left a lasting impact that still inspires and fascinates us today. Ancient Egypt still affects us today. The civilization that built the pyramids and studied the stars left a legacy that has influenced art, architecture, and ideas for thousands of years. Their discoveries in math, astronomy, and medicine helped future scientific discoveries, and their art still inspires artists and designers today. The Egyptians' interest in life after death and their special burial rituals taught us a lot about their beliefs, customs, and daily lives. Finding King Tut's tomb in 1922 amazed the world and showed us how beautiful and artistic ancient Egyptian burials were. The Rosetta Stone, found in 1799, helped us understand hieroglyphics, which allowed us to read ancient Egyptian writing. These texts tell us about their history, religion, literature, and how they saw the world. From the giant pyramids to the complicated hieroglyphics, ancient Egypt still fascinates us. It reminds us of how clever and creative humans can be, and how interesting the past is. Their legacy continues, not just in what's left of their civilization, but in the many ways they have shaped our world. When we look at what's left of this once great civilization, we remember that empires don't last forever, but what people achieve can. The Egyptians, who really believed in the afterlife, tried to live forever through their huge monuments and elaborate burial rituals. Even though their bodies died thousands of years ago, their spirit lives on in what they left behind. The story of ancient Egypt shows us how innovative, creative, and strong humans can be. It's a story of ambition and cleverness, of faith and devotion, of a civilization that grew from the desert sands to become super important in human history. As we continue to learn about their past, we understand more about our shared human story and the timeless wonder of ancient Egypt, a civilization that continues to share its secrets with us through time.